I'm in a bad area, Kel.
Okay. Well, we are now live broadcasting piece. So if you hear me, my brother, you are blacked out over there. I know you're on the highway and everything, but whenever if you hear this, if you hear me talking, man, put your light on or something. So like a lighter or something, or a cell phone light or something. So I know you're all right over there. Know that you hearing our broadcast, man. But we are officially live on the air, man. So
there you go.
Okay, I see a chair in there. I see a chair and some glasses, man. I think we in business over there.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
So we are live here. All right, gentlemen. Stand by.
All right.
You gotta Shazam it. Coming through loud and clear. It's powered 1, 2, jam.
It's our perspective. Represent your jumps the truth. Respecting you all over. Right or wrong, it's what you chose. Perspective. It's just the point of view, the odds and the outcome, based on how you move. It's all perspective. Represent your jumps the truth. Respecting you all over. Right or wrong, it's what you chose. Perspective. It's just the point of view, the odds and the outcome, based on how you move.
Odds and the outcome based on how you move. What did he say, Kel? The odds and the outcome based on what?
How you move.
How you move.
Right. Not how they move, but
not how they move. But how you move.
That's right.
Indeed.
Absolutely,
welcome to the Perspective 217. Go ahead, Kel.
No, sir. You go right ahead, brother.
All right. Welcome to the Perspective 217. We back at it again on this nice, fine Thursday, December 9th of 2021. The year is almost over.
Yes, crazy. It is. I can't keep up.
Crazy, man. December 9th, 2021. Absolutely.
Man, it's almost over, man. But we back at this, you know what I mean? Hey, last week, Kel, you were on the road having to come back from something. I'm on my way to go get something this go around, man. But hey, the show don't stop, right? Hey, the information needs to be provided.
This is the definition right here. When we say the Perspective 217 is mobile, we are literally mobile, man. Like we be on them highways, man. Literally, I was on the highway last week. P is on the highway this week, man. So definitely, people want you to be safe in your travels, man. I know you tuned in. And this just goes to show you guys, how dedicated and how much passion we have, man, for our show to be able to bring you, our perspectives and viewpoints and stuff. And so, but yeah, P, definitely be safe on that road, man. While we doing this thing, man.
Indeed. So, Kel, let me ask you real quick. We're gonna do the short version though. So, how your week been?
Man, week's been real good, man. It's been busy. You think because it starts getting a little colder up this way that folks will kind of sit down somewhere. No, sir. That's not happening. So this is tis the season. Us in the LEO professors say tis the season. For thieving. So just our disclaimer, man. Just be mindful out there, people. I know you're out there trying to get your loved ones and family gifts and trying to get all them cakes and pies and all that stuff, man, and Christmas gifts and family gatherings. Just be mindful, man. It's people out there that are in worse situations than you are, man, and it's those people out there that are looking to prey on those that are not paying attention. So just be mindful when you're out in the streets, man, to be aware, because it's people that are looking for you to come when you're trying to do your thing. So be mindful of that. Otherwise than that, man, I'm blessed, bro. 10 toes down, man. Let's keep this thing rolling.
Absolutely.
So my week's been cool, man. I started the new gig last week. They broke me in, like broke me down, broke me in. But I got through the week, the grace of God, I made it through that joker, man. It's my last 2 weeks of this first 8-week semester of class. The 2 classes I'm taking this go round, man. I'm sitting basically at A and a B.
Okay.
And holding it down a little bit, but it's a little stressful trying to train and do final essays all at the same time.
Yeah,
man,
absolutely.
It's big shouts out to you, bro. Just trying to get back in the swing of things, man. On the work side as well as now, pushing and grinding on the education side, man. So it's a lot, bro. But if anybody's shoulders in this world is broad and wide enough to handle all that, it's definitely my dogs.
There you go. I don't know you, Preston, but hey, I remember on the grind, working 40 plus hours a week, still going to school, trying to do all this. It's always for the greater good. So
Indeed.
Sometimes we sacrifice now for the greater good of later. And so even driving, in almost the middle of the night or the late evening of the night to take care of, your loved ones and make sure everybody get back home safely for the holidays is always for the greater good. Even though sometimes as men, our sleep is a little shorter than it should be, right? We're taking on additional responsibilities of the family, but it's always for the greater good of everyone. So big up to you, Big Preston. So putting our man hat on, right? And doing what we got to do and not making excuses, just sitting down saying, well, I couldn't do it. Oh, well, I don't know what happened. I ran out of time. Hey, sometimes we got to cut our comfort out short for the greater good of the family, right?
Indeed.
Sometimes being a man is not comfortable, but it's okay. It's for the greater good.
Oh, man, listen.
Mr. Lowe.
This show is going to be wonderful. I'm telling you, man, this show is going to be, listen, for those who have never seen the Perspective 217, man, listen, we are a podcast radio show, man. We've been rocking for about 2.5 going on 3 years, man. And we've had a lot of different special guests, on our show, man. Tonight, you guys have kind of already got like that mini introduction, man. And I'm just gonna go ahead and just do it formally here while he's already here. But so this brother that you see down at the bottom here, I know him personally. I've had the pleasure of working with him in St. Louis. When I started my early career as a police officer, me and Lowe, like we call him, we had a couple of different events and special details and things of that nature that we have embarked on. And later in the show, man, I'll tell you about one of the craziest little episodes that I remembered with me and him together. But before we get on all of that, man, I definitely want to introduce this brother to you. Like I said, this brother, Leo, from St. Louis Metro. We're going to get into all that, but please welcome my brother, Mr. Charles Lowe, to the Perspective 217 show.
Thank you guys for having me. Like you say, so we can talk and just rap and see hey, what's out there? Well, what's new and exciting for us as men of God, as policemen, as fathers, as black men. What's out there? And so we'll figure it out today. What can we do to keep each other encouraged and kind of tell our stories, and hopefully this will resonate with somebody and keep them moving forward too.
Absolutely. Hey. So go ahead, Pete.
I didn't been preached to. I felt like the Spirit been with us 2 weeks in a row. Last time.
To God be the glory. That's right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Shoot, we started out in the pulpit.
Already. So listen. So we're gonna dive right in, man. So who is Mr. Charles Lowe?
Woo, that is a lot of layers to Mr. Charles Lowe. Well, I'll start with the obvious. I've been on the police department. I'm starting my 23rd year in February with the police department. Out of my 23 years, I've been a sergeant for 15 out of my 23 years. So I've been blessed to be in, your first line supervisor on a major police department for pretty much the majority of my career. I've gotten chance to, train and work with just some great men and women in this city. And we'll talk about it later. Obviously, I started a non-for-profit some years later after I was shot and ambushed. And I get a chance to not only locally but nationally get out a chance to mentor and talk to a lot of officers and even first responders actually that are having a tough time with their careers and just trying to find a new normal after trauma and all this drama that we deal with in our lives as first responders hits us. Sometimes it's hard as men, especially Black men, to be vulnerable, right? And how do you break that down?
Right.
So there's so many layers to me. I have an 8-year-old son. I've been married for 20 years. I tell my wife all the time, I now know I'm on the back end of my career. I'm the old guy walking around the station. I often find myself, walking through the hallways. Somebody asks me a question, I answer, and at the end of it, I catch myself. I say,
who is it?
Back when I was your age, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah. Or you, after the conversation, you're like, who is that? Who is that? Somebody tell me what's his name? Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So I catch myself telling the old guy story because it's just so, after the years, man, I probably write a book of the stories and things that have happened over the years, and I can catch myself in telling the story sometime because this is a different generation. That's all. Yeah. But like I say, I tell my wife all the time, I know I'm on the back end of my career, and God willing, if I can do another, 5 to 8 years, I will consider it. Even now, if I was to leave right now, consider my career a success.
So, Lo, I got to ask you this, man. St. Louis born and raised, correct or no?
Yes, St. Louis born and raised. I grew up in North St. Louis and Baden, and like I said, my mom still lives there. For guys that are from St. Louis, the Baden area, that North St. Louis area, kind of right before the North County, right? Jennings and Bellfountain Neighbors and Riverview and all that stuff. I'm right the top part of the city right there. Yeah. So born and raised there. Like I said, I went to start off going to Baden Elementary. For guys that know, like I said, I walked to school. For guys remember when kids were allowed to walk to school. Once again, back in my day,
when that was your only option. Yeah, you there wasn't no buses. You was walking. That was it. Yeah.
That was it. And so wasn't no snow days, right?
No.
And so I later graduated. Once again, I was a North Side kid. I graduated 8th grade from Yeaman Elementary. And after that, I was a D-Seg kid, went out to Parkway Central.
Okay.
Finished up at Parkway. Like I say, had a good time there. I played football, did shot put, discus for track, and I wrestled at Parkway. So I just had a great high school career, like I say, which obviously led on to me going to college. I ended up going to Missouri Western State College across the state. It's to a little town called St. Joseph, Missouri, just north of Kansas City, Missouri. They have a great criminal justice program.
Okay.
I knew early on that I wanted to do something in law enforcement. I was always of the mindset, two things. One, I wanted to help people. But two, I always felt like somebody that looks like me has to stand in the gap for other people.
Now, let me ask you this, Lo.
Go ahead.
So, coming from the north side of St. Louis, right? Graduating from elementary school, high school, going to college, getting 2 degrees, right? Over the time.
Correct.
What led you, I guess, at that early stage? What led you to law enforcement? Like what piqued your interest?
So for me, seeing the policemen in my area, in my community, helping people, even when sometimes the people can't help themselves, if that makes sense. So, and I say that because growing up in North St. Louis, I grew up in the 90s where we had gangs, drive-by shootings, and drugs, flat out, right? So I was conscious of that as a teenager. I knew it existed. Now, in certain neighborhoods, the police were not necessarily welcome per se, but I always appreciated the job of them still trying to clean the neighborhood up as far as drugs and violence and, seeing kids, actually back then when drive-by shootings were new, right? This was a new thing, and kids were getting just mauled, literally playing in the street. Some guys down the street just literally lighting up the street and kids are dying. To me, that didn't make sense. So why would you welcome somebody that's trying to save lives? But like I say, we always have a subset of our community that may or may not like the police. But I've always thought what an honor it was for somebody to give their lives up and to try to help those, even though the help people in some communities don't even want the help per se, but they still do it anyway because once again, it's the greater good. They're sacrificing for the greater good for everybody. And so
now, Lowe, when you were growing up, when you were speaking earlier about those officers that were policing in your neighborhood, were they predominantly white? Were they predominantly black, or was it an even mix?
So I remember kind of an even mix.
Okay.
But for some reason, I remember the white officers had more interaction with us, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I don't know if they just took time to know this, the bratty kid that was playing kickball in the backyard and stuff like that. I'm not sure, but it seemed like the white officers took time to speak to us. But I noticed as they got older, maybe teenagers were they would stop large groups of us, hanging out, right? Not necessarily doing nothing. We were just teenagers. Well, nothing else to do, so we just
being out, being outside.
Just 12 of us hanging out. We played basketball already. We messed around, played video games. Got kicked out of his house. Now we just sitting here on the block, right?
Right.
And so I noticed that when the black officers would come to us, it was more hey, bro, what y'all doing, man? Y'all heard causing trouble. Like it was almost like a big uncle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, little nephew, what y'all doing out here, man? Y'all need to be out here like that.
Right.
So I felt like it was for me, it was a natural connection, and I always felt like, when I become an officer one day, I want to be like that. I want to be relatable to someone sitting on the street, right? I want to be like that big uncle, like, oh man, that's Lowe, man. That's Kales, man. That he cool, man. He don't mean anybody no harm, but he don't play, but he don't mean no harm. He wants the best for us, and that's how I see policing in general, and that's how I've always tried to police the last 23 years, and even moving forward, wherever years I have left policing, that's how I want to police.
Okay, so you go from that era. You see the officers on your block. You got kind of like the big uncle kind of role models, police that we're talking about.
Yeah.
You go to college, you graduate, and then you wind up going to the academy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about that experience.
So even with that, it was some challenges. So let's rewind back my senior year. So senior year of college, I in my eyes, I got all my classes straight. I got taking on 12, 14 credit hours, whatever, I got my fall schedule right, and I got my spring schedule right. Now I'm trying to walk across that stage in May. So I'm like, I'm done. I'm graduating. I'm going back home. We're doing police academy, blah, this, blah, that. Long story short, I meet with my counselor, my senior year, first week of school. He's like, oh, yeah, you got about another 9 electives that you need. So I'm like, what? I want to walk across the stage. He's like, oh, no big deal. You can go into summer school. You can do this. In my eyes, I'm like, I ain't doing summer school. In May of the fall of this school year, I'm walking across somebody's stage.
So you trying to get about that thing?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm done. I'm ready to get out of here. So the short version of the story is, I ended up my fall semester, my senior year, I ended up taking on 22 college credits. And so for anybody that's been in college, I basically was doing double the workload to make sure I graduated in May. That's basically what I did.
Yeah, you was on Operation Push the Pedal all the way to the floor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So on top of all of that, so I get through that semester. So now it's December. I'm knowing that in 6 months I'm graduating. So I'm home for the break. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go down to the police academy, start putting my application in and figure out what all I need. So I get down there, and they're like, so mind you, so I'm literally 21 years old, 6 months from graduating from college. Young man, go down to the academy. They say, man, everything look good, but you might need to lose some weight. You kind of on the bigger side. So they check my weight, they check my percent body fat, and like, either lose about 60 pounds or get your body fat down 10%. So I was devastated. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I remember talking to my then girlfriend, now my wife, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm crying on her shoulder, like, baby, I've been going to school all these years, been a policeman. They tell me I gotta lose like 60, 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Over the next couple of months, or drop like 10% body fat. So I was like, I gotta do it. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I gotta do it.
So you just came this far, huh?
Yeah. So this is how God works. So my college roommate was a for lack of a better word, he was a PE major.
Okay.
But in his senior practicum, he was writing up a fitness plan, unbeknownst to me. So I first day of class, coming back in January of me graduating in 6 months, I tell my college roommate, hey man, I gotta lose this weight, man. I can't be hanging out, I can't be eating no fried foods, all that. He's like, huh? He's like, for my senior practicum, I'm doing a fitness program. Do you mind if I write you up a fitness program and I write about it in my journal so I get my senior practicum hours? So I'm like, I don't care, write it up. I was like, I got to do something. So he writes up this whole program, what to eat, what not to eat, when to exercise, literally a 6-month program.
Yeah.
So a couple months go by, I'm home for spring break. I'm sitting outside of my mom's house with a couple of friends. And once again, my wife, but then my girlfriend drives up. And then she called me on the phone. It's like, hey, I'm in front of the house. There's a whole bunch of guys in front of your house. I was like, Kelly, it's me. I'm in front of the house. My wife didn't recognize me. I lost half the weight by spring break. I lost 40 pounds by the spring break. So my wife didn't hang out with me for spring break, pulls up and just see a group of guys, doesn't even recognize me because I lost so much weight in just a few months. So the fast forward to basically by the time I graduated, walked across stage in May of 98, I was down 80 pounds. 80
pounds.
Wow. I went from
a whole person.
Yes, sir. I went from 274 in January 1 of 1998, and by May 16th of 1998, I was down. I was like 203. Yes, almost 80 pounds. And so basically, after I graduated like on a Friday. That Tuesday morning, I was in the academy at the city, put out my application again. And then when I first walked in, the guy said, man, you look familiar. You lose some weight? I said, actually, I have. I was like, I came here in December. He's like, he waiting on things. He's like, oh, you good now, man? So he put my application in.
Come on,
in 98, and I started the academy September 14th, 1998. So once again, we talk about as men, you following your dreams and doing what you have to do and what that sacrifice looks like. And so for me, it was not only taking on all these college credits my senior year, but actually losing weight and just developing a whole nother habit in college, right? Where you got all these distractions in college and, late night eating and studying and, all these things that could have threw me off. But I was just very focused as a kid or as a young man where I was like, this is my dream. This is what I want to do. And what do I need to do to make it happen? And so that's kind of my academy story that I tell all the time because I sacrificed a lot. Not only, like say, college credit wise, even losing the weight just to get into the academy.
Right. And this is the part which is a perfect segue because what people don't understand is just because you get accepted into the academy, it doesn't mean all of a sudden now you blessed and you out on the street. You got to get up in this building.
Yes.
And you got to rock out for 6.5 more months. You know what I'm saying?
You got to bring a small player every day.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's a process in itself, man, because and maybe so when you were going to the academy, did you have to stay on campus there, or was it kind of like it is now, where you go there for the week, you go home every day, or how was it then?
So yeah, so then when I went, so when I went to academy, it was 23 and a half weeks long. We got to go home every day, but the way it's set up, you don't have time for like another job or anything. Like
No.
it's a 40+ hour work week at the academy.
Yes.
With fitness and classroom instruction and tests.
Yes.
You know, which you have to pass a minimum grade with the test, or they kick you out.
Period.
So that was a stress.
Period.
Another stressor.
Yeah.
The good part about it was I was still kind of in college mode, right? Coming off graduating in May, now September, 4 months later, I started the academy. And then once again, tell you how God works. Once I got in the academy, I'm talking to other people in the academy. Now, mind you, I thought I waited a long time from May to September. I was in the academy with people that waited a year and a half, 2 years just to start the academy back in the late 90s. And so when they heard my story that I graduated literally 4 months ago, they're like, how you get in so fast? I'm like, I don't know. I put the application in. But once again, when you're doing what's right and God intervenes in your life, it's just ordained, and you don't realize the things that are the obstacles that are not in your way.
Right.
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 And so as a man, I just want to talk about that sometimes to keep people uplifted. You know, you got to stay focused on your goals, no matter of what obstacles you think are in your way. Sometimes, once again, if I got there, I realized I didn't have, apparently I had a fraction of the obstacles the other people had that waited a year, almost 2 years to be in the same spot that I was in. And I waited 4 months.
Right. Right. Yeah. And people need to realize too, man, you can be your own worst hurdle, because, if you're not, like you said, if you're not really situated and have that kind of that support and that structure behind you, you can very well, take yourself out of that position that God put you in.
100%. Yes.
So
yes,
that's it's so many life lessons in this that you just dropped, man. But I wanted to throw that point out there because people, especially when you talk about police, they just think that you show up to a building and all of a sudden you say, hey, I want to be the police, and next thing you know, they say, here you go, man, here go your badge, here go your gun, go out there and drive a car and you just get out there and do what you want to do. No, that's not how it works. You have to complete a full-blown academy, where it's testing, where it's a physical aspect, you're doing, building searches and investigative stuff. And I mean, so that's the first portion of you becoming a police officer, because even though you pass the academy, you still have to, after the academy, you still have to find, you still have to prove that you are worthy and trustworthy of being an officer that's not going to be a liability.
There you go.
Say, hey, listen, Officer Lowe or Officer Walton or Officer James, now you have survived, or you have earned that right and authority to be released on your own to go out on the street and protect and serve.
100%. I have to maintain the minimum standard.
Pete?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, when I got gas, it cut me off for some reason. But one of the points that you just touched on, and a word you use that is so crucial that people really don't think about, you survived.
Yes.
Wow. Yes, sir.
To make it to that point, right? Because there is so many. When I was on the Wichita Police Department, there were people that were in FTO. One in particular that responded to a call of a previous burglary to a home. When this officer walked up, someone ambushed in that yard as they're casually walking up. As you in law enforcement, and our rest of our law enforcement community know, when it's like a call like that, like a what is it called, Kel? Something 3.
Almost?
Yeah, well, it's a routine call.
Like a priority 3 or something is kind of how they label it.
Yeah, priority 3, right? You know what I mean? It's not a priority 1 or 2. It's
right.
Low on the totem pole as far as, not saying it's not important, but it's lower on the totem pole as far as the activity and action and caution that you normally take.
Yes.
And they that person who jumped out of the bush killed that officer, who was fresh out of FTO. He was 4 days out of FTO. So survived is a very real word when you're talking about policing and in every aspect. Right now, we're talking about police surviving, people surviving police contacts, but we don't talk very much about the police surviving the public contact. But that's a whole nother show. I just wanted to touch on that because I jumped back in and so go ahead, brother Lowe.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to segue into, we talk about survival. When I was actually shot and ambushed.
That actually I wanted to touch on that, right? So there's not a lot of you hear about officers being shot in the line of duty, but you don't get to talk to them very often.
That's true.
Why is that? They used to say all the time when I was a young officer that we can get a splinter, in law enforcement and not survive.
Right.
And the person that is trying to harm a whole bunch of people can get shot 7 times and still live.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you are a God-given testament to us and all of those else in this world that you can survive and still have a positive mindset about the community and policing. So can you tell us a little bit about I don't want to bring up any traumas, because PTSD is real, right? MDD is real, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if anything gets to the point to where it's a little tough, please just pause or stop.
No, it's fine. I actually go around with my non-for-profit that I started after I was shot, called Project Hurt. It's Heal, Uplift, Restore, Transition. I talk about trauma and basically about peer support and getting resources to officers. So I'll explain a little bit. So I'll tell you this is the short version of the incident, and then I'll talk about I had my aha moment as a man first, but then as a policeman second, right? So I'll talk about that in a second.
Right.
So in July 14th of 2015, I was working an extra duty assignment. The short version is I was sitting in the car. I saw a group of guys. I got a real eerie feeling about them, right? Minutes before the shooting started, it was a hot July night. I earlier that night I took my vest off. But after I saw this group of guys walking around the neighborhood, literally just minutes before the shooting started, I literally heard the voice of God say, "Put your vest back on."
Mm-hmm.
So
and listen, and for our viewers and listeners who can't really grasp the heat in St. Louis in July. I mean, just imagine you being on some desert by yourself with no water, no wind, and you just out there. So that is what a July feels like in St. Louis. And imagine having your gear on, that officers that we wear. Man, let me tell you. So yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from, though. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
So I took my vest off to get some relief because I was hot. And literally I saw a group of guys walking. I'm fast forwarding the story, but I saw a group of guys walking around the neighborhood I was protecting, of these group of businesses I was in front of, and I literally heard the voice guy say, "Put your vest on." So I laugh about it now, but it's the difference between the physical and the spiritual. I know I'm getting a little deep, but I got to touch on it because that's my reality. So the physical me was literally telling God, like, I'm looking at my watch, like, God, I get off in an hour and a half. Why would you want me to put my vest on now? It don't make sense. The physical is saying that. I laugh at myself now or why would I question that? Well, as soon as I heard the voice, I knew who it was. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But the spiritual was like, you don't know what's going on ahead. I'm trying to protect you. Just listen.
Mm.
But sometimes, I'm going to say this real quick, but it's very important. When God's giving you an instruction, it's an instruction of action. Because he needs you to do something.
Say that again.
When God is telling you something, sometimes
Right.
it's a spirit of action. He needs you to physically move or do something. It's not sit back and wait on God to come in on your life and do things. Mm-hmm. Sometimes God empowers us to give the action plan to do what we need to do. He's empowered us. He's given us. He made us in his likeness, and he empowered us to do things. So that's the spiritual part. And so I laugh about it now because the physical took over of, God, this don't make sense, right? Why would I want to put my vest on? Literally, like a stubborn kid that doesn't want to eat green beans at the dinner table, I put my vest back on, right? I strap it on. I'm like, all right, God, I put my vest on. Just leave me alone. I'm going to be okay. But I had a lot of anxiety at the time about it. Like I say, I literally had butterflies in my stomach and everything. And literally, it felt like God put his arm around my shoulders. He said, I've literally heard, he said one last thing before the incident started. He said, it's going to be okay. Just keep your vest on. And so I'm processing all this in my head. And literally, the car pulls up. I get some guys jump out. I get shot. They drive off. I stay in my car. I kind of follow behind them a little bit. And we later came back around. The guys were gone, but we later made an arrest on them. But now I'm at home with the baggage and trauma of being shot. So at that point in July 2015, I had about, 16 and a half, 17 years on. I've been a sergeant, had 8 or 9 years already. So I've been around the block a couple of times, right? Mm-hmm. And this wasn't my first shooting, but it was the first time I got hit. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm. It was different. In my head, once again, the physical versus the spiritual. In my head, I'm like, how come I'm having a tough time with this? It's not making sense. Give me more time. Wife kept asking me, are you okay? I'm like, I'm okay. I just need more time. I remember kept saying that. Right. It almost reminded me of how you see a movie or a picture of someone that you see on drugs that's falling off the rails. Mm-hmm. But they keep telling you, I got it under control. Right? That was me. I thought I had it under control, but I was falling off the rails, and I didn't know it. Right?
Now let me ask you this real quick, Lowe, too. So after the incident, I know you probably went through all the protocol and procedures, and so you get home. Yep. I'm assuming this is probably weeks later after the incident, and your wife is like, "Hey, are you okay?" And you're still trying to process this because people just think that like this is a movie type stuff that it happens, it ends, that's it. You're back on the horse riding it like you never fell off. They just believe it's some kind of movie production when it comes to trauma and crisis and these type of situations. So you're talking about as far as a timeline after the incident. How long is this that you're talking about when you're trying to process this and saying you need more time?
So I'm talking about within 2 weeks, two weeks to a month. Okay. After my shooting, my wife's like, "Hey, are you sure you're okay?" So this is my aha moment, right? Sometimes when you are hurting, you're too close to it to see the hurt. Let that sit for a second. Yes. Let that sit for a second. Sometimes when you're hurting, you're too close to see the hurt. Right? So that's also part of the reasoning. I'll explain in a second why we named our novel Project Hurt. So I'll explain that in a second. So this is my aha moment. Like I say, glory be to good wives and women out there that stand in the gap and protect us.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to talk spiritual, but I got to, right?
Hey,
in Genesis,
brother.
God gave Adam 3 jobs: build, protect, provide. If you read Proverbs 31, he gives the woman like 30 things that she must do to fulfill her wifely duties.
Mm.
But God only gave Adam 3 things to do: build, protect, provide.
Mm.
Once again, the wife's job or the woman's job is not easy, so we must not forget that.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
this is my aha moment, right? And my wife doing her wifely duties explained to me where I was at. So from where I got shot at and where I live, probably is about a mile away. So the neighborhood I got shot in is kind of my neighborhood, right? It's restaurants, it's bars there, it's places that it was accustomed to me, not only where I worked at, but in my private life, I would go and hang out there, right? I would take my son to eat ice cream there and do all the things. And also remind you too, in July of 2015, my son was only 19 months old.
Mm.
Right? So I had the drama of that on my head. My wife was a stay-at-home mom, so I was the main income. So I was very stressed out about how the family was continuing on with me not working. But I need to get back to work, but I ain't feeling right. Something don't feel right. I'm not feeling good. But I know I'm not in a position to go back to work, but I got to do something because I'm a man, right? I got to take care of my family. So my wife comes to me on a particular day, and she's like, hey, in the area I got shot, there's a cupcake place. And this cupcake place, we frequented a lot because, you know, we's like, hey, let's just grab a quick dessert, right? Go to the cupcake place, and we'll hang out there and come back home or whatever. And blah, 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 blah. So we frequented there a lot before I got shot. But this particular day, like 2 weeks after I got shot, my wife comes to me and is like, hey, let's go to the cupcake place. But the cupcake place where the business is located is like 50 feet from where I got shot.
Mm.
Wow.
So in my eyes, in the physical, that's not a safe place.
It puts you right back. It puts you right back in that incident.
Not a safe place no more.
Yeah.
I got trauma. So my wife calls me the particular day and says, hey, let's go to the cupcake place. First thing I thought about was, that's a horrible idea. I'm not going nowhere. You can go. I'll stay here. So my wife in fine fashion lets it go. A couple hours later, she comes to me. Now she puts my son in it. Hey, I bet your son would love to go get some cupcakes today. Right?
Hey, they're geniuses.
Oh man,
making that work, right?
So now it's a little late in the day, but I'm like, you're not getting me with my son. I said, I said, yeah, I can go.
Yeah,
I can't go back there. So I tell this part of the story where this part I got to give big up to my wife. So before my wife was a stay-at-home mom, she was a social worker, and she dealt with urban kids and trauma. And so she knew that I was going through something, but just like in her social work, being a social worker, she had to put that child back in their environment so she can see the trauma, so she can write out a plan on how to get help.
Look at that.
Right?
Look at that.
I was a test study, didn't even know it.
Yep.
So she comes to me later on that day. She knew someone right. But she's like, I got to help him. Something ain't right. So now it's late on in the day, starting to go down. I'm just like, say it's August or whatever it was. I'm chilling. She's like, hey, how about this? If you just drive me up to the cupcake place, I'll run in and grab some. We come back home. So I'm like, perfect idea. The fat kid in me like, bring on the cupcakes. I want some dang cupcakes.
I ain't got to get out. All I got to do is drive. Yeah, you going to get the cupcakes? Cool.
But once again, this is how God works. So now we're parked in front of the place. I look to my right. I'm looking inside. It's a glass business, right? See the glass front, so you see inside the business. I look inside the business. Now, usually anytime you go there, it's either nobody in there or 1 or 2 people. God intervened that day. Now it's like 20 people in this store. So my wife must have seen the trauma on my face. First thing she said was, I swear I'll be right back. I'm ready to abort mission. I don't even care about the cupcakes no more.
Right. You can have them damn cupcakes. Let's go.
Yeah. I don't want to be in this neighborhood. This is supposed to be in and out. This is taking too long, right?
Right.
I'm like, all right, just go inside and get the cupcakes. Just hurry up.
So Lo, tell us, like what were some of the things that you were experiencing, brother? Like what? I mean, like, you know, I'm not saying tell us detail. I'm just saying, but kind of what was your mindset? We definitely know that you had trauma. I mean,
yeah,
for sure. But I mean, was it a sense of you being scared? Was it a sense of like you felt that you wasn't the top cop, or I mean, what were you thinking at that time?
It was high anxiety. I felt like the whole world was coming down on me. The short version was I sit in the car for a little bit. I'm literally sitting in the car, mind you, in summertime with the AC running. I'm sweating like I'm running a marathon, just sitting in the car. So I'm looking at my rearview mirror, and my rearview mirror, I'm looking at, once again, I'm 60 feet from where I just got shot. And I'm sitting inside the car. And when I got shot, I was sitting inside my car.
In the car, absolutely.
Now I'm turning around looking at my son who's like 2 months old. He's, goo goo gaga in the back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta get out of this car. So we get out of the car for a second. We walk around. There's a little water fountain area on the sidewalk. We walk there, play for like a couple minutes. But I ain't feeling good. Now I'm outside the car. I play with myself for a little bit, but then I find myself gazing into the area where I just got shot just a couple weeks before, and I'm kind of locking in on that location, and now I'm sweating even more, and now my stomach don't feel good, my head don't feel good, at all, right? So I'm like, now I'm super hyper vigilant. I'm grabbing my son, right? I'm looking at everybody's waistband, I'm looking at everybody's hands, and so all thing I'm thinking in my head was, I got my son in one hand, and I got my hand on top of my gun on the other. All thing I'm thinking was, I got shot in this neighborhood a couple weeks ago. And I'll be damned if somebody shoot my son.
Yes, sir.
You're not doing this. This will not be his fate.
Yeah.
So I'm super hyper vigilant. I'm sweating.
I'll be right back.
I'm sweating profusely. I'm just trying to process all of this. Finally get back to the car. I'm like, I'm about to drive around the neighborhood. I can't do this. I can't be here no more. Put my son in the back. I'm strapping him all in. As I walk around to the driver's seat of the car, my wife comes out and says, holds up the bag of cupcakes, says, aha, I told you, I'll be right back. I got the cupcakes. I'm like, all right, come on, let's go. Right?
She had no idea what you had just experienced. This whole mental roller coaster and everything that you had just experienced, she had no clue of that.
No clue. So as she's getting in the car, she's talking. I don't even know what she's talking about. I'm so engulfed in my head right now. I hear the words coming out of my mouth. I ain't processing nothing she's talking about. So mind you, we get in the car. I'm sitting in the car. It's starting to get a little late. And there's a car behind me. In the area I'm in is the entertainment area. So there's a car behind me that wants my parking spot because parking spots are limited in this area. And so they put their blinker on. So I look at my rear view, the blinking lights irritating me. Right. And so now there's a car coming down the street with their bright lights on. And I remember looking at the light. I'm like, getting angry. It's like the whole world's coming on top of me. And I don't like it. This don't feel good. So mind you, when I got shot, I'm sitting inside my car. And in summertime in this entertainment area, people walk in front of my car, right? They don't know what's going on. They're just walking to get across the street.
Yeah.
But I feel like the old world's coming back on top of me. And once again, my son's with me, my family's with me. So I got to protect them. And it's overwhelming. Next thing I know, I'm literally screaming and hitting the steering wheel, yelling top of my lungs. And to this day, I don't even remember what I was yelling about. I remember feeling overwhelmed and scared.
Wow.
All I remember is my wife touching my shoulder, says, Charles, what are you doing? Your son's in his car. So I turn around, I'm looking at my son, and I felt vulnerable. Like, I'm looking at my son, he's crying. I'm trying to process what's happening, but I feel like I just had an out-of-body experience. And I've never lost my emotions like that, so I'm like confused. So the only thing I remember was putting my hands out like this. I looked at my wife. I said, what just happened? My wife said, I know what just happened. You need to talk to somebody. So once again, we talk about being a man and what that looks like. So at that point, I call it my aha moment. I didn't know if I would ever put on a police uniform again, but I knew as a man, if I wanted to be a father to my child and a husband to my wife, I need to talk to somebody. I need professional help. Yeah. Once again, we talked about earlier about the action plan, right? Now we can pray to God for healing. We can pray to God for physical and mental wellness, but God sent out people we can talk to help us with our mental wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I negated. I didn't follow the guy's action plan for the help he had provided.
So you touch on so many. I mean, I would
It's a lot of layers
love,
to me, brother.
I would love for the perspective to be able to collaborate with, is it the Hurt Lock? What is it? Just Hurt or Hurt Locker? What is it?
It's called Project Hurt.
Project Hurt.
Hurt.
We
To
were on
collaborate
Facebook.
with.
We have a website as well. It's the Hurt acronym for Hurt is Heal, Uplift, Restore, Transition. Because that's the process, right? Biblically, physically, and spiritually, life is a process. So you got to follow the process to get to the transition part and to get to the healing part. We're a what I call a long-term peer support. Most of the police departments don't offer long-term peer support, and most agencies don't, as far as like non-for-profits. So wherever you are in your career, you're that rookie that's been on a week, or you're that old salty dog that's been retired for 10 years. We all need continued support, right, of the traumas that we see. So wherever you are in your career, of short, like you say, a couple of days, or an old salty dog that's been retired for years, we're here to stand in the gap to be like, we understand. And then, like I said, we have resources, clinicians, and all kind of agencies and different places that we work with to get officers and first responders help. And then that's the short of it.
Heal, uplift,
restore, transition.
Restore, transition.
And Project Hurt started. So I got shot in July of 2015. A good friend of mine, Sergeant Tom Lake, was shot in the face twice and survived November of 2016. So about 15 months after I was shot, he gets shot. So what happened was, I remember talking to him a couple days after he got to the hospital. I said, Tom, I know you think you're okay, but these are some things you're going to experience over the next 30 days. And I remember telling him the first 30 days is the hardest. The first 30 days was the hardest for me. All that I remember telling him was, I promise you, if you just can fight the first 30 days, it does get better, but you're going to have a lot of challenges. It's only been the first 3 or 4 days, and you don't know what you're up against yet. I'm telling you, because I was just shot 14 months ago. Literally, Tom was like, okay, I appreciate it, Lowe, good. I appreciate it, dap it up, right? 10 days later, he calls me in tears. He says, man, everything you said was going to happen just happened. He's like, how do we get your message out, and how do we get the message out to help other first responders and officers that's going through something similar? That was the birth of Project Hurt.
We talk about that a lot here on The Perspective. We talk about the phobia of people in law enforcement not wanting to admit that they have a issue, right? Because it's viewed as a weakness, and law enforcement is not supposed to be weak per society's standard of what a police officer or a law enforcement agency member is supposed to do. You're technically, from society's eyes as a whole, not everybody, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm making it general, but I'm not referring to every individual person. That you're supposed to be robotic, right? That's the job you chose. You've been trained to deal with this. There's no way a person could train you how to deal with being shot.
There you go. Correct.
They can train you how to decrease the chances of getting shot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot train somebody. That's like training somebody on the first week of being a mother. You can talk about what different people's experiences have been, but you can't, because that child is a different child. You are a different person. Y'all are in a different scenario. Your financial situation may be different. Your support group may be different. Your environment may be different, right? So all of those things play a factor in the way that you recover from your mental, emotional, and physical trauma. Mental health should not be a bad word
Correct.
in law enforcement.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And what you're doing
in law enforcement and the black community.
and oh Lord, hey,
we got to talk about that. We got to talk about that.
Yeah, we talk about that quite a bit, man. And you know, I think people don't really understand. Like, the longer you do this job, man, you inherit so much, man, just death
Baggage.
and I mean,
baggage. Yeah.
Just imagine every accident. I mean, every shooting. You know, you as first responders, you inherit that trauma. Now, even though, you know, let's say like I'm not the primary officer on there, but I might respond. I mean, I'm still going to get that visual appeal. You know, even though I'm not there, you know, writing down or checking or posting on like, but I'm still getting that visual. You know, the firefighters, the paramedics. I mean, they're on the same. They're on the same way, because, you know, we're all there to offer our sources, you know, our resources and our skills and to help. But, you know, once you know the blood is rinsed off that concrete, you know, we as police officers, we have to investigate that. You know, we have to find out who did this or who was involved, and you inherit that indirectly, because, you know, you're writing this person's name down 50 million times, and then you're investigating who they are, and then, you know, you're writing a report. So all that stuff, man, it just keeps continuing to click in your mind, and it goes over and over, year by year.
You talk to the families, you talk to the friends who've all been traumatized by this incident, which pours some of that trauma into you, right? Yeah. You can't being in any type of first responder, including the military, right? I mean, because I'm a former vet too. The same stressors are there. It's just a little, you know what I mean? The situations are different. Those things that you go through, all those extra emotional things, having to go from the baby that's just been shot to somebody complaining about leaves being blown in their yard, and you have to shift gears.
Yes, you do.
Literally, like you have to dump or try to compress down. I know I'm using my hands a lot, but I'm going to compress down the murder of this 2-year-old and show care and concern for this person who is upset about leaves being in their yard.
Yeah,
correct. That's it.
That alone is traumatizing, right? Just because your and your emotional setup is not set up for that.
That's right.
Yeah, it's we could probably talk about this, man, about 2 hours easily.
Yeah,
and never really touch, you know, in great length, as far as, you know, some of the things that we've seen, some of the things that we've experienced. And, you know, it especially when it comes to the black community, you know, and we've talked about this a gazillion times on the Perspective 217, is that we as black people, we like to self-medicate ourselves. You know, I'm good, I'm cool, man. You know, I'm straight. Like you know, I'm good. You know, and you're crumbling inside.
100%.
You know, because like P was saying, you know, we believe that, you know, being a man and being a provider and, you know, being a father, and, you know, and like you have to give off this certain era, you know, that hey, man, you know, I'm tough, you know, and nothing folds me. And so, you know, while you're grandstanding, so to speak, you know, you're crumbling inside, because, you know, you're too prideful, or, you know, you're too naive, you know, to go and talk to somebody, man. You know, I mean, you know, having Project Hurt, to be able to now reach out to people, man, that is huge, Lowe. That is huge, man. And I'll speak personally. You know, here at my department, you know, we lost an officer, you know, Officer Oberheim, man, and, you know, and even still, you know, that was in May. I mean, we are still now, you know, moving into December. You know, we're still dealing with that. We're still mourning, you know, and people are going to have their waves of dealing with that, you know, on their own accord. You know what I'm saying? It's wonderful that his wife comes in and checks on us and
Good.
and donates food and stuff, and you know, and to see her moving around with their kids.
Yeah.
But you know, we had reached out to you though, Lo, you know, because you know, we were looking for an organization, you know, some people to talk to, man, because you know, we needed that. And so when I see you walk in the ballroom, I was like, conference room, I was like, whoa, man, this is perfect. Like, what you doing here? You know. But yeah, man. So you know, I definitely want to throw out there, you know, how can they support you? You know, on your nonprofit Project Hurt. You know, do you have a website? What are your socials? How do they get in contact with you, brother?
So Project Hurt, our website is projecthurt.org, O-R-G. You can find us on the web. We're also on Facebook. Like I say, just put in Project Hurt, H-U-R-T. And we're we're on Facebook. And once again, our website is projecthurt.org, O-R-G. And like I say, you can find us, look us up, check us out. We have contact information if you want to get a hold of us. Like I say, through Project Hurt, I've been in DC and talked to officers after the insurrection. I've got a chance to travel down to Texas and Florida and just all over the place, mentoring and just talking to officers. Down Louisiana, I got a good group of guys down there as well. So I've been blessed to take what happened to me and help others. And so I literally feel like that was why I survived. Yeah, because God had another plan for me. That's just the honest to God truth that he needed me to do something else. And he's like, all right, you have to go through something. It's going to be tough. You can get through it, but you got to help other people. I need you. You're my vessel. And so I take that as my marching orders, right? And it keeps me motivated to get up every day and to speak. Matter of fact, recently I was in Vegas speaking at a conference, and I got a chance to go to Idaho and speak at a conference for responder families and talk about, you know, what does developing your mental health circle look like? Yeah. I just talk about that, like developing your mental health circle now before the incident happened, right? Where you behind the A-ball like myself trying to find a mental health circle. And so, like I said, it's so many layers to me. Well, who is Charles Lowe, right? Yeah. What is Project Hurt? There's so many layers to it. But that's hopefully the listeners got an opportunity to at least get a peek of some of the stuff that's going on and who I am as Charles Lowe and what Project Hurt is all about. Yeah. Well, you know, I tell you this, man, in closing, Lowe, you know, I'm very grateful, man, to know you personally, man, you know, and you know, this is a different situation as far as just having some guests on here, you know, when you know someone personally, man, that you know, that you've worked with it, you know, and you know, grew a personal relationship and a working relationship with, man, and to hear, you know, what you've gone through and what you've you know, how you and your wife, man, have put this nonprofit together, man, because you could have very well just chose like, you know what, this is my own situation. I'm going to deal with it, you know, me and my family, and that's it. And, you know, you ride off in the sunset where, you know, your testament is that, you know, God put on your heart and your spirit, man, to be a complete survivor, you know, to get past your incident, your trauma, man, and then come out here and help others, man. And, you know, that speaks volumes, man. So we definitely want to have you back on the show, man. We could talk more in detail as far as everything you got going on. Awesome. You know, if you got any breaking news or anything, man, you know, please let us know. You know, you got a home here on the Perspective 217. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Pete, you got something in closing, brother? You all blacked out over there.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me. I am actually back on the road with my youngest. He's in the car. Terrell, say what's up.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Good, young man.
Doing well, nephew.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to cap on is I wanted to ditto. I know people don't use that word no more, but I wanted to ditto everything Kales said. I don't technically know you personally yet, but that is going to change. I'm not even going to say I hope it changes. That is going to change.
Let's speak it in position. I love it.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to presenting Project Hurt to the Oklahoma City Police Department, Canadian County, Sheriff's Department, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma County, I think it's city, and then Yukon PD, and all the departments around here, because they deal with a lot of shootings and whatnot as well, involving officers and the public. So I look forward to expanding Project Hurt out this way as well.
Awesome.
Wichita, Kansas, Texas, just everything within my reach now. Project Hurt is going to be, the wings are going to spread.
Well, thank you so much. To God be the glory. I love it. Thank you so much.
And if any of our viewers and listeners, for those areas that we spoke to, and those others that have questions, go check out the website. And if you don't, leave us a message here, and we'll get in contact with Sarge and pass that information, man. Because like I said, the reason why we're doing this, man, is to be able to give it to the community. So there's no reason to have these resources and you not use them. So whatever agency you're at, whether it be north, south, east, or west, man, this is for you. And so if you feel that this can help your department out, man, reach out to us so we can get those services to you.
Right? I'm on Facebook as well. If they want to reach out and send a message on Facebook, like I said, we'll call them back and we'll figure out what resources we can get to them or their department. So like I say, we're flexible. Absolutely.
All right, gentlemen. Well, we're going to conclude this show today. It was a powerful show, man. A lot of gems that were dropped. We're gonna have Sergeant Lowe back at a later date and time, man. But if we don't see you, talk to you, Sergeant Lowe, before the year end, man, please have a very blessed holiday, you and your family, man, and we'll talk with you soon, brother.
You too. And you be safe coming back from Wichita.
That'll be you, Pete.
Yes.
All right, well, we're gonna end it with that then. Mr. Black out there.
All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, young man.
Be easy there, absolutely.
All right now.